This is the Cliff Yates podcast channel, but today we're vlogging live from the island, and I appreciate all the comments and questions yesterday when I did a live feed last night, and I did it in vertical mode, because that shows up in the shorts feed, and people come in and out, and we gain a lot of subscribers, but I had a lot of great questions on the island itself and on the cottage, and we had a storm coming in, and a lot of interaction. So today I thought I'd go live, horizontally. And now we're starting our little tour inside the cottage. This is the inside of Elm Tree Island where I'm at, and built in 1955-ish by my grandmother. And then in the 1970s, we added a porch on over there. And in 2000, we added another porch on that side. And in 2015, we added a couple walls, made 3 bedrooms, and we also added another bathroom. So we're talking about an island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River, and now we've got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Hey, subscribe to the channel, join this community of progress. And so this was the outside of the cottage. You can see the stonework. The original cottage was all stone. Of course, this porch wasn't on. This was actually the exterior door as I was growing up in the 1970s. And it's just a great place to come for summertime. It's a seasonal place. Let's go outside. Believe it or not, it's very, very hot, which is welcome, but and a little unusual, even though it is mid-June. Because I got here May 16th, and it was freezing. For 10 days, I had space heaters going, and I had a fire 24/7 for about 10 days. So these are my docks. This dock here, the major dock here, was put on in the 1950s. And then years ago in the 50s, there was a big dock here. But they were crib docks where they had piles of rocks and they built a crib around it and then they put boards. But the new technology has them drill a frame right into the bottom of the river, the St. Lawrence River, and then they build on that frame, they put the attaching boards. But it creates a nice little marina for the boats here. So this will give you a little different view of Elm Tree Island. We're vlogging today from the island, and it'll be on Island Life playlist. And check out all the other videos. But we are live right now. And so you're going to see what's happening, and we'll take a little walk around the island. By now, you should already know about the St. Lawrence River and the Thousand Island region, where the Thousand Island dressing was named after, and you should know that it's fresh water. I talk about it a lot. If you haven't seen those other videos, check them out. We got some drone shots over the island, so you get a good eye view of, exactly the size of the island, Elm Tree Island, handed down for the past 80 years, from grandma to my parents to my wife and I. And it's just one of those beautiful days. It's actually only 76 degrees, but it feels really hot because there's not much air going. So we're going to go on our morning walk here on the island. So this is the north end, and that is the septic system right there. It's an aerobic system where things go into each chamber. All your waste products, they get tossed around, broken up, go through a UV light, kills all bacteria and everything in there, gets to a lift tank, where then it's pumped to the other end of the island. Well, to the central part of the island. And it was quite an operation to get that done, believe me. We had to have a barge come over, and we had to get a small backhoe here on the island to build this leach field up here, made out of rocks. You really, from the river, you can't even tell that it is a leach field. And that's how amazing it is. So it's 30 feet long, 10 feet deep, pea stone. And so believe me, by the time the water comes out of here, it's already clear. You could put it right to a garden, but we added extra filtering to go through this pea stone leach field. Actually, it looks quite nice from the river. So once that lift tank is full, it pumps all that waste product water here, which is kind of gray water. But believe me, it's there's an old canoe we just filled with dirt, put flowers in, and it turned out really well. If you have any questions about the island life, leave them in the comments. I'll check them in a second, and I'll answer your questions. I'd like to interact with all you folks. And there is Singer Castles over there. At one time, that castle was owned by people associated with Singer Sewing Machine. So it's took on the name Singer Castle again. It's changed a couple times. But now you get an idea of exactly how big the island is. Not too big, maybe just over a football field and a half long. And there's the cottage. We got the original stone cottage and then porch added here, porch added there. A couple walls put in, created 3 bedrooms, and we got 2 baths with regular toilets because we got our aerobic septic system and our leach field. So regular water in the bowl toilets. And we have electricity that comes under the water. Cables come under the water, brings electricity into the island. And I have full Wi-Fi. Right, so that little circular cylinder there on top of my roof, that collects the Wi-Fi from that castle. And then I agreed to the company to put that little vertical piece that's transmitting Wi-Fi to line of sight recipients who are paying for the service, and I get it free because I agreed to transmit it. Why not? I mean, you can hardly even see that little piece that transmits, and I get good high-speed internet, so I'm able to live stream and do my podcast. So I have a podcast that I also film on the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Mostly inspiration, motivation, personal growth. I mean, that's what I'm into. How can we live a better life? You know, recently I've made, comments about what's going on in our world because there's a lot going on. And I think you can pay attention to what's going on politically in this beautiful country and at the same time still be motivated to have a positive impact on other people. No greater joy than having a positive impact on somebody else. Somebody earlier today gave me a positive comment. I'm going through some struggles personally, and they said, well, he'll get through it. He's such a positive guy. And that made my day. For them to tell me that I've had positive impact on them made my day. And maybe I can have a positive impact on you and you can pass it on. And you can do that by, I'll tell you what, costs nothing. Subscribe to the channel, everybody. From the Thousand Islands, we are live. Let's take a walk down the other end of the island. Do our morning walk here. It's not quite noon, so I can say it's morning walk time. Let me know where you're at and what time it is there. And I'm in the upper New York State, Thousand Island region of upstate New York, Chippewa Bay, New York. All right, we're walking to the other end of that. Look at this sedum. There's really beautiful yellow sedum flowers. And this is the other end of the island. And I got some wood stacked here. I got family coming. We're going to have a bonfire when they get here. Oh, there's some swallows. I got a nice view of the shipping channel. This is the main shipping channel of the St. Lawrence River, where the oil tankers come up and down the St. Lawrence. They go into the Great Lakes. This fresh water is actually being dumped here from Lake Ontario, about 25 miles that way. And then this fresh water continues north around the corner. It goes down the seaway, and it eventually 4, 5, 6, 7, 1,000 miles goes into the Atlantic Ocean. But this area of the St. Lawrence River is very wide. I think it's the widest part of the St. Lawrence River. From New York shoreline to the Canadian shoreline, it's probably 4 or 5 miles. Really wide. It actually looks like a lake, but it is the St. Lawrence River. Usually the wind is blowing out of the southwest. Hey, if you have any questions on the island life, please leave them in the chat. I'll answer them in a couple minutes when I'll sit down here on the porch of the island. But the wind is actually blowing now from the north, a little bit northwest. Usually it's blowing from the southwest. Now today, blowing out of the north is welcome because it's nice and cool. And this water is still only 65 degrees. So even though on the mainland it might be 90, here it might show 86, 87, but the wind coming off this water that's 65 degrees or so feels really, really nice. And that's good because the other part of the year I live in Florida, so that can get really hot. So this is a nice break from the intense heat of South Florida. Get up here in the upper north. So get the best of both paradises, the paradise of Florida, and we get the paradise of the Thousand Islands. Really a magical place. I run into people all the time who have never heard of it, and I run into people all the time who have been here several times. People you wouldn't think know about the St. Lawrence River, but they do. They've been here maybe as a kid, and they just have the fond memories of being around the Thousand Islands and visiting some of these castles like Singer Castle and then Bolt Castle in Alex Bay. That's Alex Bay is kind of one of the well-known little tourist villages, which is 12 miles directly south of here. Had to get my directions right. All these islands, almost all of them, well, all of them actually are carved out of Laurentia granite. They're all made out of granite. And most of the bottom of the river is granite. So when you go swimming in this river, it feels really medicinal, like you're actually in a mineral bath. And so there's a stand-up paddleboard. I got a couple kayaks. I got a couple vessels here. And then when the family comes, I got the jet skis I'll put in the water. If you have any questions, subscribe. Share the video with someone you think might want to live the island life with you. And I'm on our little porch here that we put on. If there's any questions, I'll answer them. And if there's not, I won't be answering anything. All right, let me know where you're from, where you're watching from, and I'll acknowledge you. So this is a great day here on the island, Thousand Islands, New York. You can check it out. Look it up. I'm actually on our own private island, which is Elm Tree Island, and you can look that up on Google Earth. Put in Elm Tree Island, E-L-M, Tree Island, Hammond, New York, and you'll be taken right to where I'm at, and you'll see where I am in relation to Canada. Ottawa, Canada is directly that way. But as I said earlier, we are in New York State waters. But halfway across, it becomes Canadian waters. And across the river is the Canadian shoreline. So I'm in New York State, and I pay New York State taxes. And the mainland where I park my car is here in New York. So that was a little tour of the island. You saw a little bit of the inside of the cottage, and we walked around the outside, and you happened to catch Elm Tree Island on a beautiful, beautiful day here on the St. Lawrence River. All right, everybody, it was a great taking you around. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Cliff Yates, everybody, you're awesome. Good things are going to be happening for you, for sure.